Hello and welcome. I want to do this review a little bit different from how I usually do it. Typically, the review starts out with me showing you all the video that I got through it and putting it through different environments, and then at the end I do a little recap. I think with this one, to condense it into a much shorter, package, I'm going to start out with a little intro, such as this, and then talk you through the entire scope and how it functions and what you're looking at as you're watching it. And at the end, I'll have a little bit of a closing statement. With that being said, let's get this review rolling. This transformer is roughly 30 meters away and will be familiar to many of you if you've watched my other videos. It provides a great testbed to give you an idea of not only just what the glass will look like at a fairly close distance, 30 meters, but also to show you that from minimum to maximum magnification, there's no real change in the distance from the eye box one to the other, which is extremely important when you have a good cheek weld on a rifle. Here, take note of how sharp those power lines as well as that power tower all the way in the back are. That's a difference of almost 900 meters. Here you can get a sense for just how slightly difficult it is to see the reticle. If it wasn't for the fact that we were on a bright, slightly reflective surface, it would be kind of difficult to see in the dark bush. More on that later. This little guy was probably only about 20 meters away, maybe a little bit closer, and I think he had a sense of what was going on. There are two things slightly different with this. First, the vantage point, I'm not as over as I usually am, and secondly, that car. Now, keep in mind, this is only a 4X, but look how sharp everything is. The glass in this scope is extremely good for what it is. With a name like the Plex, this reticle implies that it's going to be used for hunting, and sometimes hunting happens in pretty dark wooded environments such as this. Now, one thing that I like about Illumination is that even though you might not need it during the day, when you're in a high contrast environment like we are in right now, that reticle can sometimes be really hard to see. It is aided by the fact that at 3, 6, and 9 you have some very thick posts that will guide your eye towards the center, but still not as good as having Illumination. And here you get your first taste of just how much that 1.5x looks like up close and personal. Now, it might not seem it, but to the human eye, it's pretty nauseating, especially if you're using both eyes at the same time. And here again, you're going to get a really good sense of just how much that magnification impacts an area at about 50 yards. Again, it doesn't seem like much when you're looking through the scope, but when you can compare it to what's actually going on behind it, it's pretty noticeable. However, because there is slight magnification, the fisheye effect is greatly reduced. In fact, at minimum magnification, you only notice at the very far extreme of the glass that there's a slight bit of distortion, but the center of it is really pretty good. And here at 4x, or maximum magnification, it's razor sharp right to the edge. Now, you might be forgiven to expect that a 1-inch tubed optic such as this is going to have a pretty tight eye box, but at minimum magnification, you'd be wrong. It's actually really open. And take a look at just how thin the wall of the casing of this scope goes. It gets to the point where it's barely even there, almost as thick as the crosshairs itself, and that's damn impressive. Things stay pretty good at about 2.5x, which you'll see right here. It does start to get a little bit tight, but that will probably be most likely the limitations of having a 1-inch tube. However, it's still more than serviceable. And at 4x, it does get a little tight, but still well within the realm of usable. I certainly have no complaints with this, especially considering that your cheek weld from minimum to maximum magnification does not change from one magnification to the next. Typically, I would do the laundry room clear out section first before going into the garage. However, because this is a 1.5 and not more or less a 1x, it's too magnified to be in such close quarters such as that, and it made it almost impossible for me to try to even get some sort of realistic footage. Pew, pew. You might not realize it, but even me recording this through my camera and still trying to go through this, the slight bit of magnification is extremely jarring. One feature of the scope that I absolutely love is just how quick you can go from minimum to maximum magnification. Pew! I really wish that more scope manufacturers would go to a tighter sweep like that. It's maybe 90 degrees and it makes a huge difference. Pew pew! Now, I am no expert when it comes to anything close quarter combat related, but I do know that you should be using both eyes to look not only through your optic, but also at your targets. Now, what will happen is, when you get it just right, your brain will put the two images together and you should be able to see your reticle through one eye and your target on the other. This makes red dots and even pew pew illuminated reticles on LPVOs extremely useful. Even if there's a little bit of fisheyeing involved, or even a slight bit of magnification, your eye pew pew can still put the two images together, and you should be able to see the illuminated reticle when your brain puts the two images together. However, you're not going to get that with this scope. But what you are going to get is really good glass. And if you don't think you're ever going to be clearing a room or a close environment like this, then honestly, it's a non-issue, I believe. The tracking test is kind of difficult even with a scope that has adjustable parallax and much higher magnification. Here I only have 4x and a non-AO. I got it as clear as I could, but I know it's still kind of meh. However, it seems to track more than adequate, I would say, for an LPVO that has a BDC reticle and is designed to be set and forget. You adjust it, you cap it, you're good to go. One thing I will note is that after playing with the turrets for a little bit, they did seem to smooth out from when I first did the unboxing. They did kind of feel a little gritty, but that more or less went away. And as you can see, it tracks perfectly fine. You can't expect much more from something like this, especially for the price point. It claims to be American made, and for $250, it's damn impressive for what it is. Good. And there you have it. I'll keep this really brief. This is an excellent little LPVO with an asterisk next to it. It's excellent that you get really great glass. In my opinion, you get a really great reticle. I love it. And you get something that's very small and very, very lightweight. As you've seen, everything about it functions as it should, but with a couple of caveats. The first, not being a real 1x, it's very difficult to use in really close ranges. Not having illumination, again, it's really difficult to use in really close or very dark environments. That's the real caveat. Other than that, I really like this thing. If you're looking for a super lightweight, very small, well-functioning LPVO, I would say give this a shot. A huge thanks to Adorama for sending this over for review. I've really been wanting to get my hands on this for a long time, and it has performed better than I was expecting. Knowing that it's only a 1.5 instead of a 1, I knew anything within 25 yards is going to be really difficult to use, especially in a very tight, closed environment like you saw, or in a very dark one for that matter. However, it's razor sharp glass, it's really good controls, really rank it high in my opinion as far as a well-budgeted, simple LPVO. So Adorama, thank you so much for sending this out to me. It's been absolutely fun. It's going to be difficult giving this back to you, I will be honest. But I can't wait to see what comes along next time. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. See you again next time.